Hey everyone, David C. Anderson here coming at you from the Knife Center. And if you're wondering what's the best steel that you can get on a pocket knife for not too much money, this is the video for you. Let's check them out. All right, so for this video, we're focusing on the best steels available under the $100 price point. Some of them come in a decent bit less, but most of them are at least above $50, so to speak. Now, if you want the answer to the question, what is the best steel you can get for the least amount of money? Hands down, that has got to be D2 tool steel. Proliferated across the less expensive range of knives these days. You can get stuff like this QSP Parrot for like $25. And for that, it's a well-built knife with an insane amount of edge retention per dollar at that level. D2, great stuff at holding an edge. Now, that's not what this video is about though, because as good as D2 is, there are better steels available. There's steels that are going to hold an edge longer. There's steels that are going to be tougher. Steel's going to be easier to sharpen as well, not to mention stuff that's more stain resistant. Not in every one of these cases, mind you, on the list we're about to get into. But we're going for real premium steel options that don't carry that premium price tag. One of the ways that can be done, that can be achieved, is since the materials themselves on the steel tend to be a little bit more expensive, what if you just go with less of it? And that's where something like this Spyderco Ladybug comes in. Not a large knife by any stretch of the imagination. We've got a sub 2-inch blade, but the steel here is K390, which, if you're unfamiliar with it, it is a particle metallurgy steel or a particle steel, which pretty much everything we're looking at today is going to be that. It's much different from a traditionally smelted ingot steel like D2 or many other things. The advantage is you can get a really fine grain structure and they can really push performance a lot farther than a conventional steel can be. And K390, ounce for ounce, is amongst the very best edge holding steels on the market at any price right now. But if you get a little piece of it, like on this knife right here, you're gonna pay about 65 bucks for this knife. Like I said, about a 2-inch blade, full flat grind, definitely a slicey little bugger. And if you're gonna have that small amount of edge to deal with, you might as well pack the most edge holding you can into it. You can also get the Man Bug. It's a little bit taller than this, so you have a little bit more to hold on to, but even the Ladybug itself feels fairly secure for such a small knife. It's about a 2.5 finger grip, FRN handles, another way to keep the price down a little bit over some other options, so you can spend your money on the steel itself, and you got that lock back for a good amount of security, easy one-hand opening, even if your hands are slightly larger than average, like mine are. Just a phenomenal little keychain knife. A couple other nice small options, again, keeping the cost down that way. We have two folders here from Fallkniven. We've got the U4 Wolf's Tooth, which is a lockback folder here for about $88. We also have the LTC slip joint coming in about $98. Now, these are going to be listed as two different steels, but this is where kind of the whole steel alphabet soup name game can get a little confusing, a little bit in the weeds. Both of these use at their core the same steel. And I say core because both of these knives have kind of a signature thing that Fallkniven likes to do. You have laminated blade construction. And that's, honestly, it complicates the production a little bit. You're adding some cost there, but you're removing some cost on the material side of things, since only the core of these blades has to be the real high-performing stuff. And that high-performing stuff in this case is SP2 powder metallurgy steel. It should be maybe not quite as much edge retention as something like S35VN, which we'll get to soon, but they are particle steels, and you're going to add a little bit of toughness back to these with the outer layers in each of these knives. Now, to try and get through the weeds as quickly as possible, when you have a knife like the U4 right here that is labeled as having a SGPS blade, what that is, in Fallkniven's parlance, is they have 420 stainless outer layers, but you have that SP2 core. The LTC is marked 3G. It has the same core steel, but the outer layers are VG2, which are a little bit more scratch resistant and a little bit more tough, I believe, than the 420 on the other guy. Confusing? Yes, absolutely. But You're getting very good performance out of these steels. Let's check out the U4 first. We've got injection molded handles, again, keeping the price down that way. Lock back, two-handed opening on this guy with a just over 2-inch blade. Still have a nice full flat grind. You've got a versatile drop point. About a, still kind of like a 2.5 finger grip on this guy. Maybe not quite as much positive retention as that Ladybug, even though the Ladybug presents a little bit smaller. Very nice little knife though, nonetheless. The LTC model stands for legal to carry, which while we're not lawyers, this is designed to be compliant just about anywhere. You've got a 2¼ inch blade, so nice and short. You've got a slip joint mechanism, so no lock here. It's also two-handed opening, so it's really kind of boiled back down to just what you need without extra features that may get you in trouble. But whether that matters to you or not, it's still a nice little slip joint. Aluminum handles, various colors available, nice little pen-shaped blade with that excellent steel underneath. All right, so steel is actually just one of the factors that goes into how long a knife will hold an edge. And we'll get to that with this particular knife right here. This is the Cold Steel Lucky 2. Comes in about $74, and you've got S35 VN blade steel, which, as I promised, we were going to get to. Really great stainless steel, particle metallurgy, and probably one of the best, one of the most well-rounded particle steels out there due to its combination of really good edge retention, pretty good toughness, and very good stain resistance as well. But in addition to that, one of the things that manufacturers can do to make an edge last longer than another particular given knife in the steel is to make it thin. When you have a knife with thin blade stock like this, as well as a thin edge, even as it gets dull, you're still going to be dealing with a very narrow cross section, and it will kind of cut longer than a thicker blade and a thicker edge will. And you get that with this Lucky 2. The other thing that you can do is give it 2 blades. Heck, why not? So each one of these blades has a little bit over 2¼ inches of sharpened edge. Each blade itself, between the tip and the handle itself, is just under 2.5 inches. So like the LTC, this is something that's going to be very easy to carry anywhere. And when you combine these two together, you've got over 4 inches of S35 VN. Scratch that. With the serrated edge on one blade, we've got even more than that. You can't even actually, or there's no practical way for me to measure exactly how much sharpened edge we have on this serrated side, but needless to say, it is a lot. And then you've got the benefit of both. If you need a clean, precise cut, you can go with the plain edge. If you need to saw through something more fibrous or more tough, you've got the biting and sawing power of the serrations. Really cool. Both of them nice and thin, both of them razor sharp. I love the handles on this Lucky series. Carbon fiber, contoured, feels good, and you've even got a convenient pocket clip to keep it handy. Really cool with this knife that you get, a small format thing with so much edge to work with. Gotta love that. But let's start getting into more, shall we say, regular sized or full sized folding knives. Most of these are gonna be on what I'd call a medium size. The small size we just looked at. We have a couple large knives to look at, but one excellent one to start off the medium genre, the CJRB Ria. Fantastic knife, really broad variety of choices here on the lineup. We've got everything from stuff just over $30 with a 12C27 blade. That's not a particle steel, however, all the way up to this S35 VN model right here for just under $100 on this KnifeCenter exclusive with denim micarta handles. Pairs up real nice with that gold accent. Kind of makes you think of a pair of jeans, I think. And the stone-washed finish on the blade is rather nice. Really cool finish for hiding scratches as you use the blade. And check out that nice little shape. Just under 3 inches. Perfect little EDC shape. Not too thick with a full flat grind. Going to be plenty slicey. Not quite as slicey as that Lucky 2, but still very efficient. Single thumb stud. This is a kind of a right side bias knife, but man, they pop open so great. And if you're just looking for something with just a pocket knife type of vibes, but you like the safety of a lock, we got a liner lock here, and the convenience of one-hand opening with all modern materials, this thing, I don't think it gets much better than this. Interestingly, with this knife, there is a middle steel in between on the lineup that's worth talking about. It's called RPM 9. It's a proprietary steel to CJRB and their parent company, Artisan Cutlery. It kind of bridges the gap between D2 and some of the particle steel stuffs. It is a budget particle steel. They say edge retention should be pretty close to something like D2, but it's going to be stainless and easier to sharpen at the same time. And it's a particle steel that you can get for around 50 bucks, which maybe I should have put one of those on the table here. It's definitely worthy of discussion in this, but if we're talking that $100 ceiling and the higher performing steels, the S35 is still going to give you more edge retention. What if you want a more modern feeling flipper? That's where the CIVIVI Pintail can come in. This guy is about 83 bucks right now. This is another knife with a blade just under 3 inches, and you've got S35 VN steel, satin, or actually it might have a stone-washed, a non-coated blade in any case, or the black, or a Damascus steel, but performance-wise, you're going to get more out of the S35 right here. Handles on this one are micarta, has a nice feel, good grip going on, deep carry pocket clip, which is reversible, and 2 different opening methods. You've got a liner lock to keep it open, but when you're closed, you have the thumb studs and you have the flipper tab there. So a couple different ways to open it, which is quite nice. It's a great little nimble knife with a lot of performance on that steel. Next up, and honestly one of my favorite bargains in this price range, is the SOG Terminus XR, the $85 version, which comes with that S35 VN blade steel here. Again, just under 3 inches, similar size format here, but whereas that Pintail had 2 opening methods, this one has 3, because you've got their crossbar lock here, which they call the XR lock, which gives you that 3rd option, in addition to the thumb studs and the flipper. You can simply pull that lock bar back, flick the blade open or closed, or use whichever combination of the 3 options that you wish. Really cool little knife, a little bit verging on the kind of a tactical vibe, but a very EDC friendly size and shape. Another knife with a deep carry pocket clip, which is reversible for either side. Fit and finish is great. You've even got some nice touches like on the blade with the 2-tone or the bi-directional satin finish going on. Adds a little bit of extra class to it. The handle materials back that up a little bit too. It's G10, but on the top layer of that G10, we've got a carbon fiber overlay. Keeps costs down a little bit over it being like a full thickness piece of carbon fiber, but you still get that nice look. All right, the next 2 knives here, I think especially, are really, you're getting the most out of your dollars in this S35 genre under the price point. And that's because this first one especially didn't skimp on materials at all. This is the Ontario TI-22 Equinox. Comes in just under $100, and you've got an S35 VN blade, just a hair over 3 inches with the Tonto shape, and most frame lock flippers in this price range, most knives in this price range with a decent steel or even more premium steel like this, are going to have something like stainless steel or aluminum for the handles, not titanium, but this guy has the titanium. Full stop. The materials here, everything you want in a titanium frame lock flipper, and it comes in right under that $100 price point, which is awesome. The gold color is very nice. You got a little bit of a stone-washed finish going on. Has a look of sort of like brass, really. So if you like the brass look, but you don't like the way brass patinas, you like things to feel more pristine, definitely worth a look. Fairly deep carry pocket clip, which is reversible for tip down carry, although it's not going to be quite as deep when you have it in that position. Flipper tab only in this case. Action's pretty decent. Frame lock lockup is great. Just a whole heck of a lot of bargain on this particular knife. And you also get a whole heck of a lot of bargain on this next knife too, coming in at just under 90 bucks. KnifeCenter exclusive versions of the Bestech Swordfish with a full 4-inch blade of S35 VN steel. Lot of material there. Nice full handle to back things up. The black and white G10 combination there looks fantastic. You can get this with a matching black coated blade, or you can get it with satin as well for the same price. Interestingly here though, the Lucky 2 we looked at earlier has more edge than this big Bestech Swordfish. So it's kind of cool to think about such a small knife having such a large amount of performance potential. But I would say the steel on this Swordfish here, there's definitely more S35 VN in this design than on that Lucky 2, because those blades are thinner and shorter overall, and more narrow, of course. Still, not a lot of things can give you quite this long of a blade out of a premium material like this for just $90. Truly is astonishingly good deal. All right, so that's all I have on the table right now in S35 VN. But if we're talking about, the best performance, we need to talk about S30V a little bit. Now, S35 VN, great well-rounded steel, and is regarded as a little bit more premium than S30V. But if what you're after is the most edge retention possible, theoretically, and all things being equal, S30V should hold an edge a little bit longer than S35 VN. One of the things they did with S35 to kind of update S30V is they wanted it to have more toughness. And that can be a real big help when you're really pushing a knife hard, if you're using it in any kind of heavy use scenarios. But if you're just looking after a pocket knife that you're just going to be doing light to medium duty slicing, the S30V is still a great option and gives you a little bit more on the edge. This is a perfect example right here for this, the Buck 112 Slim Ranger Pro TRX. Yes, that is all of the title right there. S30V blade steel, just under 3 inches again, $99.99 right now. And you've got the classic Ranger shape, but with a straight clip point, slimmer handles, thumb studs for one-handed opening, and a reversible deep carry pocket clip with Torx adjustability on the handle itself. Really, really cool. Carries easily, made in the USA, S30V blade steel as mentioned. If you want to save a little money, but you like this knife, there is a non-Torx adjustable version that reverts to kind of older school pinned construction that can be had for a bit less money. And the 110, the larger knife than this in the pinned version, can also be had just under $98 with S30V blade steel and G10 or micarta handles. Really nice. There's some other bucks that have these good materials, like some of the Vantage flippers work really great. Spyderco has a couple of S30V Dragonflies that reach under this price point. So there's a lot of good stuff with this S30V in our price range to take a look at as well. All right, next I want to talk about CPM D2, which is not the same as normal D2 like we talked about at the beginning. The CPM, Crucible is the company, that's the C. PM is powder metallurgy. So this is a powder steel version of D2. Essentially, it takes everything that's good about the standard D2, but by doing it in the powder process so that everything, the grain structure, the particles, everything is nice and uniform and smaller, you get the same amount of edge retention and you get more toughness and easier maintenance with this steel. Really cool stuff, and that extra toughness is going to be really nice on a very thin blade, like you get on this knife right here, the Kershaw Dividend, which this version comes in about $96. Because of that thinner blade material, one thing, it's going to keep costs down, but it's also going to make this edge feel like it lasts even longer. And one of the things they do here that theoretically saves a little bit of money, similar but different to the laminated construction we talked about on the Fallkniven from earlier, this is a composite blade. The CPM D2 is this darker section at the edge, and you have a different steel at the spine, and they're braze welded together. That's that copper line right in between those two things right there. Really cool. And it theoretically allows them to use less of the more expensive material, even though it's going to cost them a little more to put them together. Pretty cool. These knives are US made, so you're dealing with a little bit more on the production cost of things. And another way they keep costs down here is with an assisted opening mechanism, which is seen as a way to get kind of better action without having to resort to the more expense and the finer tuning needs of something with ball bearings, which several of these knives we've had so far, or we've looked at so far, do have. But the flipping action on these feels great. Got that razor thin blade going on, aluminum handles, reversible deep carry clip with a liner lock. Fantastic EDC knife right here with that 3-inch blade. Very, very aggressive cutter. Apart from this, check out the Kershaw Link. They also have CPM D2 composite blade versions. There's CPM 154 versions of that knife available, which is the particle equivalent to 154 cm, kind of similar to the D2 and CPM D2 thing we've had here. But next up, which I think, I'm going to say it, this is probably right here, hands down, the best bargain in this price range. The Kershaw Link. This version, coming in for $93, has CPM 20 CV blade steel, which takes a definite step up in edge retention from the S30 and the S35 VN type of steels. It sits on the next tier. So you're gonna get a longer lasting edge out of this knife. It's about 3¼ inches long, really cool shape, really cool stonewash finish. Similar construction to the Dividend we just looked at, but a little bit thicker, a little bit chunkier for more, slightly heavier use. Aluminum handles, nice amount of thickness to grip onto, really cool looking blade shape and very practical as well. Assisted opening again to kind of keep that cost under control, under that price point with these type of materials. Feels phenomenal. I don't know, challenge you guys out there. Can you think of a better bargain for performance when you come at this price point? Eager to see if I missed something, or just eager to hear your opinions on that. Fantastic knife. Now, 20 CV, if you're unfamiliar with it, it is a Crucible product, CPM, made in USA, but M390 is another popular premium steel. It's made by Bowler, so it's a European steel, but it's the same formula, so it's the same type of performance. You can get some M390 blades under $100 right now in a couple of slip joint mechanisms. The first is this Burnley design. This is the MKM Fara slip joint. Aluminum handled, black version comes in at $95, and some other versions with micartas and titaniums do push above the price point a little bit, but this one right here can still be had very inexpensively, relatively speaking, to the other versions. That blade itself, really distinctive looking drop point, M390, just under 3 inches. The aluminum feels good. One of the nice touches we see from the Italian manufacturers a lot is this crown spine. And not only do you see it on the spine of the blade, they carry it through the leaf spring for the slip joint on the back too, which is pretty cool. It's cool to see kind of this old school construction with a fully modern style like on this knife. Feels good, it's gonna perform well. The walk and talk on the action there feels great. Also, very sleek inside your pocket since there's no pocket clip to worry about. But if you wish there was, they do supply with the knife a nice leather pocket sheath right here. So you can slip it into there, and you've got a magnetic flap here. So you can drop this in your pocket and then let the magnet fold over the hem. So you've got the knife easy to hand without it floating around in your pocket. But then when you go to draw the knife out of your pocket, no pocket clip to get in the way ergonomically, or even just kind of keep the nice aesthetic lines of the knife nice and clean. All right, one last slip joint here in M390 to take a look at. This is a limited edition Boker. This is the Celos slip joint, just over $99 right now. A little bit smaller, 2.6 inches on the blade, titanium handles here with a bead blasted finish. So you can get, again, kind of like that Ontario from before, all the premium stuff down under that price point. But M390 is more expensive than S35 VN, so both of these knives are about the same price, so it makes sense that the Boker is just a little bit smaller overall than that one. This slip joint does have a pocket clip, I should say, so if you like the convenience of that, there you go. Nice and deep carry too. Another knife with some excellent snappy walk and talk, and just a really classy looking little piece. But again, not going to be around forever. So if you're seeing this video and it's a couple years from when it was posted, I am very sorry about that, but it's cool to take a look at nonetheless. All right, now we're going to shift gears just a little bit. Everything we've been looking at so far has been focused more on edge retention, what you can get for your money. These last three knives, we're going to talk about toughness. These are still steels and still knives that will have blades that will hold an edge very well, but toughness on a folding knife is usually not the most prized characteristic. If you're dealing with something that's going to require a tougher blade, you might want a fixed blade. But toughness does have its advantages on any kind of blade, especially if you're going to be doing some things like twisting motions on the edge itself. You're going to have something that's more stable, less prone to bending or chipping, because it's going to be less brittle than some other steels. This one right here, the Acta non-Verba Z100, comes in $82 right now, and this is the only steel we're looking at, apart from our D2 example earlier, that is not a particle steel. But because this steel is very good at being tough, we're going to talk about this first before we get into some others. Now, Sleipner steel is kind of regarded as a bit of an upgrade to D2. It's going to be tougher as well as holding an edge longer. And to keep prices down on this particular steel, or on this particular knife, we've got an injection molded handle here, but it's still a full-sized knife, 3.3 inches long, excellent fit and finish, stone-washed finish, great little blade grinds overall. Now you can get it with this flipper tab right here, or you can get a two-hand opener. Another way they keep costs down a little bit on this guy, made in the Czech Republic by the way, is washers in the pivot here, no ball bearings. So it might require a little bit more getting used to on the flipping action, but it's going to be better suited for tougher jobs and dirtier jobs, which overall is what made this knife make it onto the list today. All right, next up we have a couple of knives from Kizer with tougher particle metallurgy steel options. The first is the Zipslip. This particular version, which comes in at 99 bucks, has a 4V blade steel, CPM 4V, another crucible steel right here. About 2.8-ish inches from tip to scale here, and you've got a good amount of edge retention and a really good amount of toughness for this type of steel. Not a stainless, by the way, which is why the coating here is definitely going to come in a little bit handier to keep things from patinaing or rusting too badly. This is a non-locking knife, however. This, as you can see, is a slip joint. A one-hand opening slip joint, yes, but a slip joint nonetheless. Safety, you do have that finger choil right there, so you can put your finger right up behind the edge itself without actually touching the edge. And if the blade does kick closed, your finger is going to keep it from moving. Really cool performer right here, really cool design. You can get it in some other other more stainless steels, I should say, apart from this one, but really cool to take a look at. You don't see 4V or this next steel too often on folders. And this next steel is 3V. Now the joke answer, of course, is it has one less V than the 4V, but what the steel is going to be a little bit tougher still than the 4V at the cost of a little bit of edge retention. And this is the Kizer Mini Critical, a Matthew Christensen design, also 99 bucks. 3-inch blade, kind of a modified Warncliffe, we'll call it. Thomas over there might call it a reverse Tonto, but I'm not going to give him the opportunity. It's fine, it's fine. Really cool utility knife too. And 3V feels to me like an especially good choice for this particular design because of that utility or utilitarian kind of personality that this blade has. It's essentially like a big fancy box cutter. So with this steel, you've got the toughness for running through real aggressive materials. You've got a decently thin edge, so it still slices well, but that extra toughness is going to help it if you're really twisting on a cut. Very nice to see. Similar to the SOG we looked at earlier, we've got a G10 handle with a carbon fiber top layer. We've got a pretty deep carry right side pocket clip and some red G10 accents on the rest of the handle. As for the rest of the knife, we've got the liner lock there. We've got ball bearings in the pivot, so your flipping action is nice and crisp. Just overall, really cool. And these are some of the best options in this price range if you're looking for a folder with a really tough steel. All right, that's all I've got to show you today. Let me know your thoughts. What are your kind of best steel options under this $100 price point? Love to hear it. And if you want to get your hands on any of these knives, we'll leave links in the description that'll take you over to KnifeCenter.com. Make sure you sign up for our Knife Rewards program while you're there, because if you're going to spend your money on one of these knives, might as well earn some free money to spend on your next one. I'm David C. Anderson from the Knife Center, signing off. See you next time.